It's not suspect, actually, Mr. Sam. The reason I wanted to intro is I just wanted to say a big welcome to all of our new members in our massive, huge, gigantic Facebook group.
Woo!
So a big welcome to everybody in that group, and hopefully you've also tuned into the podcast, and we're thrilled to have you along for the ride with us. There's so many exciting things going on in the background which will present themselves at the right opportunity.
Oh, that was clever.
It was. I'm feeling very Alan today, very Alan Partridge, so I'm going to be channeling that. And the other reason I wanted to mention our new people is because we've in the past covered. So this episode is going to be a follow-on from previous episodes where we've talked about the amazing things about being alcohol-free. So wherever you're at in your alcohol-free journey, there's going to be something in here for you, and it's likely to be. We're aiming for funny today, light
great.
and funny.
I mean,
no pressure.
You've
Sam.
set us up here. I mean, that look. Okay, well there we go, people. You heard it here. Let's see. It's gonna. We'll see if we can follow through on that. But yeah, no, you're right. Like, it's going to be wherever you are, if it's motivation, if it's a reminder, if it's like any of that, like we'll see if we can cover that. So what we're going to do, rather than what we've done before, which is pre-select or have a bit of a think about some amazing things, we thought what we do is go back to a blog post I wrote ages ago. 64 amazing things about being alcohol free. Now, I wrote this quite a few years ago now, and we thought we wouldn't look at it, and then we'd look at it live, and we'd go through and we'd see what I put on it and pull a few out and have a giggle and see what's on there.
See what stands out. What stands out to us today?
So go on then. Have you? Oh, I need to share. Oh, actually, I can't share my screen. I need to send this to you. Oh my Lord, it's happening live, people. Hang on a minute, Ellie Crow.
Some live.
I'm going to send you a Facebook message.
Oh, can you not pop it in the chat, mate?
I suppose I could do, yeah.
Just pop it in the chat.
It's already gone.
It's terrible. When
it's already gone to you as a Facebook message. Sorry.
Does anybody else have tech support that doesn't work very well?
Are you talking about me? that dehumanized me.
Oh, right. I'm just going to pick something. Oh, I've got a good one.
Go on then.
Improved skin, number 39.
Is it? Where's that? Hang on a minute.
Tell me about your improved skin, Mr. Sam.
It's a great way of phrasing it, isn't it? Well, I mean, it is. It is improved. A number of things improved. Hair was one as well. It got
what
thicker.
Happened to your hair?
It got thicker. My locks.
Oh, and you found a new shampoo that you like, haven't you?
That was not back when this was written. It's not shampoo, actually. It's conditioner.
Sorry, conditioner.
I get my shampoo from. I get my shampoo from Lush. We're not sponsored by Lush, by the way, but I like their stuff. I mean, whatever. It's great, isn't it?
I struggle with them because when you walk, like if they're usually in a shopping centre, and
are they?
Well, they are around my way in the shopping centre, and whenever you get within, I don't know, 50-metre radius, you can start to smell it, and it's way too strong for me.
Oh, fair enough. I love it. It's like being in a bath bomb, isn't it? But anyway, I wouldn't want to hang out. I wouldn't if I was working in there.
Yeah, you couldn't work in there. You'd have a headache.
Look at this with the light in my room.
What's going on?
It's like I'm being possessed.
They're having a seance. Go onto YouTube and watch Sam in the dark.
It's really weird. Well, whatever. Let's just see how we go. Brilliant. Should we do? I mean, we haven't barely spoken about what we're actually supposed to be talking about. Right. Better hair. Oh, it's coming back. Oh, better hair, better skin. I mean, I used to bear hair. I used to, when I drank a lot, I'd have spots and all sorts of things going on because your body's detoxifying, right? Well, there we go. You asked. I'm telling you why I've written improved skin. You look younger. How many times have we been told, oh, you look bloody 10 years younger? Yeah. Like,
if I see any pictures of me back as a drinker, I was saying this to somebody the other day. There was one that came up, and I remember taking this picture with the kids, thinking, oh, I look really nice in that picture. And now I look at it and I'm like, oh, holy shit, my face is all bloated and inflamed. Like I had this constant, like, well, not like not like a massive balloon face, but like clearly like inflamed.
Yeah,
Not
well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like I had this big red face, but it was puffy. It was really, really puffy. And I had no idea that wasn't normal.
Yeah, well, I mean, that
How I looked all
inflammation
the
is
time.
like, that's a big part of this. If I look back on photos of me in my, I don't know, 15 year, in my early 20s or something, even then, I'm not like it's the same thing. Like, I'm relatively small, like, but there's like,
Much
there's
bigger.
something about my features and that I'm slightly, I'm inflamed basically. I'm sort of weirdly puffed up. My features are not the same. And that changed really, really quickly. So,
Yeah, it
yeah,
does. And
skincare.
it's a wonderful thing. The other thing that plays into this too is that I used to have that terrible habit of, like, if I if I was drinking, like, usually for me it was trying to relax of an evening, drinking wine, and I'd do that thing of, like, I'd have a glass of wine and then we'd go down a bit quick, I'll have another one. Could easily polish off a bottle a night. And what would happen is I'd usually fall asleep on the sofa with a glass of wine in my hand, a beagle or two in my lap, and I'd do that thing of, like, I'd like wake up with a start and throw my wine over the dog right in the face. The dog's
Have
like,
some wine.
why have you done that to me? And then I think, oh shit, like, I need to get to bed. So I'd go up the stairs and it would be that thing of, we're back in the dark. It'd be that thing of, oh, can I be asked? Can I be asked to wash my face and exfoliate and put my face cream on and stuff? And sometimes, more often than not, I'd just be way too tired to bother with it. And certainly, like, if I had a big night out, I mean, I've been known to go to sleep fully clothed with my outer coat on and boots, the lot, because I've
Oh,
just
mate.
become
Yeah.
comatose.
The old
And so
starfish.
sleeping in makeup was a regular thing. Then you wake up in the morning, I mean, you look horrendous anyway, exceptionally horrendous because you've got makeup splurged everywhere. So one of the wonderful things about being alcohol free is not just that your skin improves and that you lose the inflammation, your eyes look brighter, your skin looks brighter, all of that. And that you when you said about detoxifying, like, you genuinely, that I don't know how to describe this, but you just feel so much like your skin, everything feels so much better because it's not, you haven't got alcohol seeping out of your pores trying to be expelled from the body. And because you're not going to bed, like, I mean, still be tired, but I will go and I will wash my face properly and use a really nice cleanser. And actually, it was one of the things that I introduced as changing up my evening schedule and ritual, so that I had this night, like, oh, I'll buy myself a nice facial cleanser and I'll use a nice face cream and I might put a little mask on, give myself a little mini facial. And yes, it's not the same as going and having a facial, but it's something to look forward to, putting a nice aromatherapy oil on, or having your little, I've got one of those misty diffuser things, nice scent on, and candlelight. No, like, it's a really nice ritual to have. And of course, then your skin's even better because you're actually taking care of it.
See, you chose this one because you just wanted to talk about skin.
But I just know so much. Hang on, I haven't even finished yet,
Oh,
Mr. Sam. There's
bloody hell.
then because you're not drinking bloody crap, and so for me, I drink so much water. That helps as well. Like, none of us drinking. This is another subject altogether that we actually need to pen in. We don't drink enough water. And so when you remove alcohol, and if you start to get to the point where you're hydrating regularly, again, the impact to your skin, well, not just to your skin, all of your tissues, your bones, I think your bones, I'm not a scientist, but it must help. Your muscles. Does it help? If you drink water, does it help your bones?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna assume that it's gonna have an impact on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We're gonna have to we'd have to explore that. So let's.
Maybe the scientist in the group could let us know.
Yeah. Water bone relationship. There we go.
Yeah.
Do you know what else absolutely sucks? You made me think about like going to bed with your makeup on. Do you know what else is rubbish?
Did you used to go to bed with your makeup on?
Oh, no. Just made me think of something. I have worn makeup a few times in my life. It's a pain in the ass to get it off, so I couldn't be bothered. One what was I going to say?
But by the way, put your hands up in the Facebook group if you'd like to see Sam with a full face of makeup.
No,
That's something we can do.
You sooner see me in my SpongeBob SquarePants hot pants than that, just because I don't like. Yeah, this is the one that I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like things on my skin. I never have, but I do anyway. Falling asleep with your freaking contact lenses in because you're drunk and you've forgotten that they're in, and then you wake up 12 hours later and you're like, something's not right here. Yeah, don't do that. That's not
What
good.
does that feel like? Can you actually open your eyes properly?
It's very difficult. You know, they're not supposed to be there, are they?
I've never worn contact lenses, but that sounds grim.
Yeah, it's minging. Right. So come on then. Do you know what? I think you should pick them. Why not? Like, this is great. You can just pick the ones that pretend that you're going to take the piss out of me, but then pick the ones that you want to talk about, like skincare.
Oh, tell me what this one's about. Increased stickability.
What one's that one?
Number 52.
Increased stickability. Yeah. Sticking at shit. You know. Doing
Commitment.
stuff. Yeah, like it's always been a bit of a thing of mine. Stickability. I get overexcited, go all in, you know, and then
like salsa dancing.
Yeah. Basically, you know, within the space of a month, I basically became amazing. And then I just thought, wow, this is easy, isn't it? So I just stopped. But no, I'm joking. I'm still obviously pants. I went to like 4, but there we go. Things like that. It's still like a bit of a stickability, and I have my own sort of reasons for how my brain operates and stuff like that is a bit of a thing, but it increased dramatically the moment that I stopped drinking. My ability, and also I think it's interwoven with, you know, if you go to the gym, for example, and you're not drinking, like you keep fit, like you get fit or you make gains and you keep them. They don't just disappear because your body's retaining that stuff, and it's, you know, it's not focusing on processing alcohol, so it's you know, so you get more natural motivation, you just get more natural drive back and a want to do things. So that's what I meant by stickability. I'm pretty sure. I can't imagine it meant anything else. It's like Spider-Man. He's probably a bit stickier though when he's not at a binge.
Not a binge. Can't imagine Spider-Man on a binge.
Can't be good for flying around cities on your webs, can it?
Definite health and safety hazard, isn't it?
Just hitting into buildings and stuff.
I like it. I like it a lot, because what can so often happen, and we hear a lot in the groups that we coach and what have you, is that people suddenly find that they've got all this time. I've stopped drinking and I have all this time. So to be able to be intentional and to turn that towards something perhaps that you've always wanted to do, and maybe you've thought, I'll never get around to doing that, or that's not possible for me, or I'm too old, or any of those things, then it's a great time to start to fill your calendar with things that you know, can have you meeting all sorts of new people and picking up new skills. And tell you what, it's also really great with is it's like this rebuilding of trust with yourself, where you commit to something and then you actually see it through. And as you said, you don't lose the gains, like you just bank this stuff up. You know, we've talked a lot before about neuroplasticity, you know, this process of you know, where we create new thoughts, new beliefs, we take new action, build new habits. Like, what a phenomenal thing that you can effectively rewire your brain. Like you can change the structure within your brain. It's absolutely bloody amazing.
Yeah.
So to be intentional about, hang on a minute, I've got all this time. I mean, for me, I didn't feel that massively just because of how many bloody children and dogs that I've got. However, you do notice, and certainly, you know, I think most people will be able to will notice that there is a difference when you're not just buffering at the end of the day like I was. You've got this expanse of time. So it's like, right, what am I going to do with that?
Yeah, and there's also, as your self-worth and self-esteem and as we start to realize, oh, I deserve these things, and as we start to build things that we're aligned with, and these are all journeys, like this is the amazing stuff of the alcohol-free journey, right? Then you start allowing yourself to stick at things as you see success. For example, you're less likely to, I mean, we said we're going to record a whole episode on self-sabotage, but as those programs change and as you start to shift and as you start to build confidence in who you are and what you're capable of and what you're bringing into the world, you're way less likely to innocently and even subconsciously sabotage anything you may be doing. So you're going to stick at things more, and you're going to see more success in that sense. So yeah, I think that's a really cool thing.
Right, you ready for my next favorite?
Come on then.
I've lost it. Hang on.
We know that. What about the
this one? Number 53, people respecting my decisions and sharing their struggles with me.
Yeah, well, I guess so. This blog, I mean, where this all comes from was, well, I wrote this. So I've spoken about this a lot, but I had that 18, 19-month period alcohol free, and then I drank, and everything I learned across those few months, I realized at the end of it, I got spat out, and I was like, oh my goodness me, like I've learned so much from that. I absolutely need to have some kind of therapy, some kind of cathartic practice to bring this out of me. And the blog was that. So as I started to write this, I started being really clear about what had happened for me and what was going on. And with that honesty came authenticity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And for whatever reason, the way I spoke about, oh, I just don't drink, or whatever I was saying, or whatever words were coming out of my mouth, they were much more closely attuned to the truth of me and what had happened. So people stopped being like, for whatever reason, people stopped subconsciously picking up on this kind of like, they just knew, oh, this guy doesn't drink. Like it was a really weird thing, because back at the beginning, when I felt a bit wobbly and when I hadn't, worked through a lot of the stuff that we talk about, people would kind of pick up on the, oh, maybe I'm not going to. And then they'd be like, what? It's almost as if they'd be like, oh, well, what about just one or whatever? And so I think that was playing into it. And also, the blog was reaching more people, and people were sharing their struggles with me. And I can reflect back to when I first read, it was Holly Whitaker's blog that really, I started reading that, and it was like, whoa, like this is me, holy moly. And then you can't help but feel compelled to be like, oh, I just want this person to know how meaningful this has been. I just want this person to know how wonderful it is to be heard, or to feel like you've got a friend when you feel like no one else gets it. And so I started getting those messages. And to be honest, that was probably the catalyst that led to me doing all the coaching and all of that kind of stuff, because I realized like, oh, like you really can impact people. You can really make a difference in people's lives through writing or coaching or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, for sure. And it doesn't just stop there, does it? Because it's not just the individual's life that's impacted, but everybody that they're then in contact with afterwards. Yeah, it's pretty huge. And this isn't just about alcohol either. Like one of the things that I've talked about, much to the I don't know, I suppose you've been a bit bewildered at times with my perimenopausal journey.
I don't think I've been bewildered. I don't think I've enjoyed. I mean, I think that would be I'm not sure that's the word I'd use. I'd say that I've been, curious to be there and help, and also aware that, like, I'm trying to understand it to the best of my ability as I can as a bloke and all that. And so yeah, it's just been really curious, and it's been, but yeah, I wouldn't say like I've been as in like, oh yeah. Like yeah, but yeah, it's very interesting, and it's cool to hear it and to understand a bit more about it.
Because it's one of those things that I wasn't expecting quite so early on, and obviously knew it was coming at some point, but I equally was not informed about perimenopause. I didn't realize it was actually the 10 years before, a 10-year period before, but can last up to 10 years, the period before you transition through menopause actually only lasts for a day, and then so you're either perimenopausal or postmenopausal. So it's all kind of happened a little early for me. But it's one of the things that was hugely helpful to me. You know, we've had Coach Wendy McCallum on our podcast before, and she was a big part of my educating myself around what was going on. And Sarah Bailey, who so on Wendy's podcast, you can come across Sarah Bailey, who's a fantastic naturopathic doctor who I've worked with personally too. And that whole journey was facilitated by people being willing to talk about their own experience and what was happening to them. And right now, in the age group that I'm in, I'm constantly in these situations where people will be talking about like the kind of symptoms and the things that are going on for them and they don't feel quite right. And I could just, keep quiet, but that's not my nature. And so I openly tell everybody about my perimenopausal struggles to not just normalize it, but just open up the conversation and allow people to have a perspective like a shift like I had that then can take you on, right, oh, well, maybe I need to go and find out a bit more about this, and here's some resources. And because we don't live in community in the way, certainly, in my experience, we don't live in the community way that we might have done in the past, in which I think some other cultures certainly do, where you're informed about these sort of and not just informed, but these stages of life are revered, as it's like, the passages that you go through in your life, and they're honored and respected. And here in the UK, I don't think we do a very good job of even informing people of what's going on with their bodies and their hormones and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, I didn't mean to hijack that as on a women's wellness angle, but suffice to say that whatever, like it could be mental health, all of these things, we're all so deeply connected, and we all can relate to one another on multiple levels. But it takes somebody being brave enough and courageous enough to go first and to talk about stuff, whether it's alcohol, mental health, men's, I'm just going to call them men's issues. I don't really know what they are. Men's issues, women's wellness. Like it takes the bravery, that courageous step of not hiding, of going first and opening up a conversation. And who knows where it leads, not just for yourself, but for the people around you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm finding it being, as we've been talking about in the background, I would really like to create a space for men to be able to understand like sacred feminine, sacred masculine, like what we're talking about as those yin and yang energies, and how a space for a non-toxic space for men to be able to be emotional and not have to just kind of slip into like, banter mode from when they were 15, 16 and actually heal and actually go on a journey. And it's funny because I think some people are kind of not with men's groups, women's groups. They'd like things to be completely, or non-binary groups or whatever groups, right? It's like, but I think that there is something to be said for, particularly with, or from my perspective, for men at the moment, because the messages they've been given since they were kids, there's something really powerful in being part of this move to create safe spaces for men to be able to have that, because then they're going to integrate with women and everybody better. All people of all, are going to integrate better if we have those spaces where we can break down those walls. So yeah, I mean, and that everything you're talking about, like speaking up first about hormonal issues, or speaking up first about, that stuff, or alcohol, or we really turn them into, we turn them into these, like, we feel like we're on a little island a lot of the time, and actually they're very human. Like, I think we've spoken about this before, but once you realize that, I was so scared to talk about that, and then the moment you do it, everyone's like, oh, I feel like that too. It's like, it's such a common experience. It's so powerful to see that. I love it. So yeah, people sharing our struggles with each other, and yeah.
Awesome. And in fact, there's a bunch of stuff there that we're going to have to come back to. Have you got a pen and paper? Are you writing down all of these subjects that we need to come
You
back
know
to?
me. I've got the memory of a sieve. So I've just put them in there and they'll be there, won't they? When we end this. They absolutely won't. I don't have a working memory. So what am I writing down?
All things. When you edit this, although we don't really edit much, I'll say we, like the royal we. God bless, ma'am. I'm really going off on a tangent here. Yeah, God bless the Queen, by the way. Where on earth was I going? What was I doing?
No
Come on,
idea.
save me.
Don't worry. We're talking about the sacred feminine, sacred masculine, talking about that, talking about women's groups, talking about men's groups, blah, 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 all that. Don't worry. I got it.
Right. I've got it. Good.
Whatever it is.
Because we have got probably about 5 minutes to do this last one, which I think will be a nice, amusing one to end on.
Okay, come on then.
Although the way that you phrase this, it's slightly, the tone is not quite funny, but I'm sure we can make it funny. Where am I? Number 5. No more turning over in the morning and being scared of the consequences of drunk texting.
Yep. I mean, or even being scared of the consequences, like being paranoid about the potential consequences for things that then you didn't actually send. So then you're there in that like time and you're like, oh God, what did I do? Blah, blah, blah. William Porter talks about this, how you feel fucking like anxious and mad, even if you didn't do anything mad. You're like, oh, fuck, what did I do? And then you're like, oh God. And I would be like scared to look at my phone. I'd be like, I can't look. And then at some point I'd look and it would either be, oh, none of that way, or there would be the message or whatever.
But have you ever had one of those where you've had the anxiety and then you've done the checks and balances and you're like, oh no, phew, fucking hell, it's okay. And then later on somebody goes, yeah, but, and then you actually find that you weren't okay. You just omitted and forgotten or potentially you in blackout mode. Bunch of stuff's happened. Don't remember it. Not only do you not remember it, you think you've got, not you think you've got away with it, you think that there's nothing in the bag, and then at a later date, somebody brings something, wheels something out. Like, do you remember on Bullseye, or are you too young for Bullseye?
No, I mean, I know what you're talking about.
Speedboat at the end. Here's what you could have won, and they bring out the thing that you'd. Oh shit.
Yeah, not nice. And like the not knowing this isn't nice. The knowing this isn't nice. And then the repeated, like, I spoke about this, like a values hangover. If we do keep doing things that we really don't want to do, from arguments to being promiscuous to whatever, like whatever it might be, it builds up, we carry it. And normally we tend to shove it down with a bit more drinking and then fucking do it again. So yeah, that's not a thing. And the thing is, it's to release that is wonderful, right? We're not the people that we were. Like, we don't make our best decisions under the influence of alcohol. We just don't. And releasing any shame that we may have around those things is a massive part of the journey. But yeah, like to not wake up, like, oh man, what a horrible thing to wake up and have those and to be free of that. How nice. And what a wonderful thing to be free of.
But it calls on the flip side. It does call for something else, doesn't it? It calls for the radical responsibility that we talk about, and it calls for truth telling, because we don't have like you can't say, oh yeah, the thing that you've said or done. It's like, oh yeah, but that was coming out of the mouth of a inebriated person. It's like you have to stand behind your true self, your authenticity, and that's a wonderful thing, like a fantastic thing. But it takes some bravery and some courage, and it can be a bit alien to us because we haven't necessarily been living in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it does us any favors to kind of have this, things that happen when we're drinking, like they're in this different kind of category. Like we're not operating with our, we're not regulating our emotions, and our impulse control is all out. We're not behaving from our true self when we're drunk, but it also is not helpful to then disassociate from whatever is going on. staring it in the face and being courageous enough to accept, like, this is, and that's a part of it. That's a part of it. And yeah, I mean, that's such a wonderful thing. Like the mornings, I mean, I just love the morning, like my favorite time of the day, without a shadow. I mean, I love all the day, but mornings are just fab. I love them. And
yeah, I love mornings too.
yeah.
So do you want to wheel out your own speed boat and let anybody know the worst thing that you did drunk texting then?
I know. Well, I mean,
must be a
I can
standout
tell you a morning when I woke up and I had a feeling and I was like, shit. And then my partner at the time, she rolled over and she looked at me and then she rolled over the other way. I didn't look at me anymore. And I was like, what? So I did slowly. So she then sort of told me what had happened. And, to be fair, I don't know if it was quite, I think she was probably quite embarrassed. So I think obviously that was part of the energy charge. I think a lot of people had laughed about what had happened. But yeah, I basically went round town with my mate who I hadn't seen for ages, got outrageously drunk. I can't, like, after the, Black Russians or whatever it was, I can't remember what we were drinking, whatever. It just disappears. And then we wandered into an open mic night and I proceeded to decide, I decided that it would be a great idea for me to do a set. So
not
take a seat.
A set.
Well, I take a seat and starts quite well, I would imagine. I don't know. But quite quickly, I basically can't play guitar because I'm so drunk. But I think I think it was Pink Floyd or something. I was attempting to play Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. What great irony. Uncomfortably fucked up. So I was trying to play. Then I basically, so whoever, people found this quite funny. It carried on a bit. I basically was saying that the guitar, I don't know. This is what has been, what's the word? Told back to me is that I kept going on about how the guitar wasn't tuned, and then in the end, the crescendo was me standing on the stool, basically calling the entire pub some not very nice word. You're all a bunch of, I won't repeat the word, and then me just like walking off out of the place.
Did you smash the guitar?
I have no idea. Leaving my friend there, leaving my dignity there, and probably leaving my partner there, and then walking home. So then, yeah, I had the walk of shame back
in a rage
to apologize to the owner of the pub, who happened to be a friend of mine. Well, I mean, I didn't think I was going to be allowed back. He happened to think it was one of the funniest things that had ever happened. That's besides the point. It was ridiculous, like that. I mean, I can't, like, these kinds of things. I'm like, and that was like that was like weekly shit, that kind of ridiculous crap that we do. I don't know. That was the one that came to mind. Are you not going to wheel one of yours out?
Oh God, I'd have to think about it. I said this yesterday.
That's a great out, that, isn't it?
I don't have any freaking memory.
Well, I only have that memory because someone told me.
So here's something that used to happen on a regular basis. I thought I had some kind of narcolepsy because I used to just fall asleep all the time. So when I'd have been, I don't know, 19 or 20 at university, and I was living with my dear friend, and it was like the end of the week, kind of a blowout this Friday night. Had a bunch of people coming round, and have you heard of a thing called Centurion Challenge?
I have.
So we were doing Centurion Challenge, and we kind of started off just literally about 5 minutes before people arrived. So it's, I don't know, 7 o'clock in the evening, and we were in the front room, and we had whatever the drink was at the time that was part of this Centurion Challenge. And my flatmate, my Bezzy mate, goes to the door to answer. First folks are arriving. He came back, and I was sparkle. I was asleep. That was it. Done. And I probably resurfaced about 11 o'clock later on.
I mean,
it's like, how do you fall? I've only been to the front door. How do you fall asleep in that period of time?
Well, your buddy was basically like, give me what I need, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, the thing, like, we laugh about these things, but as we were talking about that, I actually got a flutter of the memory of like what it's like to think back to that, and to do something like that in a blackout, or to do something like that. I mean, it's absolutely horrible.
It's highly embarrassing.
And you know me, like if I feel compelled to in front of a group of people, I'd happily hop on a chair and do something. Like if I'm drawn to do that, I'd do that if I was taken by it. Like it's not about the action, it's not about, but the fact that you know, wow that we. So anyway, to be free of that, to be free of all that feeling and all of that collected feeling and all of that stuff is really, really nice. And yeah, I'm so glad that the challenges and the wacky and the wild things that I'm doing now, and when people go to me, I can't believe you did that. That's incredible. It's because of achievements and effort and bringing something I love into the world, like this podcast, rather than, I don't know,
falling asleep while somebody goes to answer the
hissing somewhere I shouldn't have done or something, you know, like that's, I don't really want those badges. Thank you very much. You can keep them.
Yeah. It's like the shittest Girl Guide uniform ever.
Just what the like collected
the badges, the badge collection.
Well, they're nothing, and yeah, I think that's one way that we've kind of twisted it, is that we've made them kind of like badges of honor. And even the language that we use, you know, how bad was that hangover? That kind of like, nah, it's not about that. Life's not about that. Whatever journey you're on, you know, whether you're on a journey of moderation or whatever, like stopping or limiting that shit. I mean, there's only stuff to be gained from that.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Right. My tummy's about to get involved. So you might want to press the stop button before it gets, careful. You'll need a new hip.
I got told off the other day for, what did I do the other day? I was making a smoothie and you told me off.
He licked the bloody blade. He licked the blade. Who does that?
Me.
Who does that?
I live life on the edge.
Right.
That was a pun. Ellie created.
It was a terrible pun. Right.
Love you all.
Let's go. Bye.
That's great.